What is the purpose of universities, and what is the role in the world? Many would say it's to educate students and conduct research, and this is true, but somehow focusing too narrowly on these two goals got us to be perceived as ivory towers and detached institutions for the elite. I believe many universities still focus too narrowly on ranking, profits, and graduate income instead of the impact that we can create in society and in the world. It really hit me recently when I looked at the top Google search results for universities are. This is very revealing, isn't it? To me, this is a broken system. Something that needs to be fixed profoundly and urgently. How did we get here? No university wants to be a dying, failing scam, a joke, useless, or, of course, hostile to geniuses. With recent admission scandals in the US and university leadership corruption elsewhere, with focusing too much on impact factors instead of social impact, and on how much our graduates make instead of the difference that they can make, is what got us here. What we need is to become more impactful and purposeful. What we need is a purpose-driven university. My personal journey towards the idea of the purpose-driven university started when I was 20. I just moved from my hometown in Tel Aviv to study philosophy at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And I was the first one of my large extended family to go to uni. My mother only had 10 years of schooling, and her mother never got to go to school and was illiterate. My parents couldn't really understand why it was so important for me to go to university, especially studying something as impractical as philosophy. Not only did I not have their emotional support, but I also did not have their financial support. And so I often went through the week hungry because I did not have the means to support myself. In order to survive, I started taking on some odd student jobs. And I started typing assignments for students back in the era where not every student had a laptop. My computer was not too good looking either. But what I did next completely changed my life. I joined a tutoring program, which is like Big Brother, Big Sister, where university students get to work with a child, usually from disadvantaged family, for a year. And in return, you get half your tuition fee waived. I desperately needed the financial support, so I started working with this kid. He was an 8-year-old boy, lovely, talented, a little bit nerdy. And he got bullied a lot. His teacher told me that she was really worried about his future, something that stayed with me for years. I often wondered what happened to him. But I really felt like I made a difference in this boy's life, and I loved it. So I continued volunteering for another year with another kid. Then I became the volunteer coordinator and the vice manageress of the entire project. At the age of 24, I was in charge of 1,000 volunteers and absolutely loved it. So then I went on to do a master's degree in not-for-profit management and a PhD on volunteering. You see, what I studied in my first degree was important, and a lot of it stayed with me until today. But it was this extracurricular activity that really changed my life and my career, leading me to where I am today, a professor of volunteering and corporate social responsibility. As a professor of corporate social responsibility, I see companies that are completely led by purpose. Companies like Patagonia, who care so much about the environment, they actually ask you not to buy their products. Company like Ben & Jerry's, who say, we're a company with a social mission, we just happen to make ice cream. I see CEOs like Paul Polman completely shifting the direction of a multinational corporation towards sustainability and responsibility with his sustainable living plan. When these companies do that, they engage employees, they recruit talent, they enhance their reputation in the community. My question to you is, why can't universities do the same? If I could work anywhere, I'd love to work for a purpose-driven organization like that. But I'm an academic. I work really hard to become who I am, and I love what I do. So a couple of years ago, I started asking myself, what if? Which is always a great exercise. What if universities could become more purpose-driven? What if universities could utilize their resources, their knowledge, amazing intellect, their people, even their physical campuses to create an impact in the communities in which they operate, global community, and the environment as well? I started asking myself, why does the world need us? And if we were to close down tomorrow, what would be lost forever, and why should anyone care? So I started diving into this, and what I discovered was remarkable examples of universities undergoing a transformational change, shifting away from the obsession of being the best in the world to being best for the world. Like the University of Pennsylvania, working to bring out Western Philly out of poverty. Columbia University, reaching out to refugees, even sending its teachers to work in refugee camps. Bentley University, where students use Skype to teach English to students in Afghanistan. Stanford, using its amazing research capabilities to fight poverty. And here in Sydney, UTS, with its remarkable social impact framework centered around the idea of it being an agent for social change. What these universities are doing is discovering their purpose, which is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. That got me thinking about what was the original purpose of universities, and about the connection between the word university and universe, which is a whole. Because universities were supposed to be a whole community of scholars studying together to make the world a better place. We somewhat shifted away from this original purpose. When I talk about purpose-driven universities, what I'm actually talking about is impact purpose. It's the purpose of helping others, benefiting others, making a difference in someone else's life, like this boy I helped all these years ago. Impact purpose gives you a sense of meaningfulness, purposefulness, even happiness. And so I hear a lot of students and other young people say that they're waiting to find their purpose, to discover their purpose. And my message to them and to you is, don't wait to discover your purpose. No one is going to be knocking on your door with a FedEx, here is your life purpose. What you need to do is start living a purposeful life, and you can do that by finding the sweet spot between what you're good at, what gives you joy, and the impact that you can create while doing those things. This is not just for people, it's also for organizations. And on an organizational level, the purpose is an aspirational reason for being, something that inspires and provides a call for action, not just for the organization, but also for its stakeholders to benefit the local and global society. So you could see how purpose is often tied to benefiting others. So what I've done, I've taken all these ideas, put them together, and defined what a purpose-driven university is. And I say it utilizes its resources, knowledge, talent, and people to continuously work with its stakeholders to benefit the communities and the environment in which it operates through research, teaching, and service. This is important because universities are often public organizations. They rely on the money of their students, governments, or even donors, and as such, should be held accountable and should create impact beyond providing students with diplomas, which they may or may not use, conducting research and publishing articles, which may or may not get cited. This is also important because students now come to expect that from us. I marched yesterday with my 2 daughters in the Climate Action March, and I saw an amazing generation, tens of thousands of young people who are purpose-driven, and they know what they want and they know how to ask for it. In the last few years, I've been working with the United Nations Prime to ask business students to do research about business students around the world, and I've asked them, how much would you be willing to forego of your future salary to work for a responsible employer? And I was shocked to discover that 95% of the students would be willing to forego some level of their salary, and that 1 in 5 students would be willing to sacrifice more than 40% of their future salary to work for an employer who is holistically responsible. That is a very strong signal our students are sending us as their educational institutions and their future employers. A purpose-driven university doesn't only define its purpose, living by it, embedding it, working with the community to achieve it, and then sharing an incredible story of impact. Such a university also enables its staff and its students to declare their purpose and live by it. Erasmus University in the Netherlands, with its Rotterdam School of Management, encourages students and staff to declare their purpose through the I Will campaign. I will inspire people to adopt a sustainable lifestyle. I will ensure RSM is a force for positive change in the world, and I will give voice to the silent, are just some of the thousands of purpose statements collected to date. So why should universities change, and why should they care about becoming more purpose-driven? Because research shows us that purpose-driven organizations have a positive impact on people, the organization, and the community. On the micro level, people are more engaged and enthused when they work for such an organization. They get to share a narrative of change, which gives them a sense of affiliation and pride. On the organizational level, the organization gets an enhanced brand and reputation, better performance. But what is important is that a purpose-driven university, for example, can become the destination of choice for purpose-driven people, people who are intrinsically motivated to achieve and help others. Most importantly, such a university, such an organization can create a positive impact on society and the community. The time for a purpose-driven university movement is now. Business as usual is no longer an option for universities. If we continue down this road, we're going to expose ourselves to scrutiny and criticism and stakeholder pressure and even lose more legitimacy. We need to become a force for good in the world, really focusing on our connection with the community and how we can better contribute to it. If university leaders don't start leading this, students are going to show them the way, and they already are. There are student movements all around the world which are showing us what it means to be sustainable, responsible, what it means to have social activism in our campuses. It's time for university leaders, staff, students, and other stakeholders to work together to define the purpose of each university, live by it, work with the community to achieve it, and then share an incredible story of impact and change. I recently found this little boy I worked with all these years ago. He may have been a fragile 8-year-old, but he's no longer fragile now. He's a director of a leading IT company and a family person with 2 kids of his own. And he still remembers me. My university did not just provide me with education. It provided me with a life-changing opportunity to live a purposeful life and to find my own purpose, which today I define as using my own knowledge, research, and teaching to create a positive impact on the world. This is what a purpose-driven university is all about. Thank you.